Parliament of Albania. The Parliament of Albania, Albanian, Kuvendi or Kuvendi, is the unicameral representative body of the citizens of the Republic of Albania. It is Albania's legislature. The parliament is composed of not less than 140 members elected to a 4-year term on the basis of direct, universal, periodic, and equal suffrage by secret ballot. The parliament is presided over by the Speaker, who is assisted by at least one deputy speaker. The electoral system is based on party list proportional representation. There are 12 multi-seat constituencies, corresponding to the country's administrative divisions. The parliament's powers are defined by the Constitution of Albania. It is responsible to amend the borders of Albania or the Constitution, passes all laws, approves the cabinet, supervises the work of the government, declares war, decides on cessation of hostilities, adopt the state's budgets and approve the state's accounts. Another duties includes calling referenda, performs elections and appointments conforming to the Constitution and applicable legislation, supervises operations of the government and other civil services responsible to the Parliament, grants amnesty for criminal offences, and performs other duties defined by the Constitution. The Parliament also elects the President of the Republic. When the Parliament is elected, the first session shall be held no later than 20 days after the completion of elections, with the President as the Speaker. However, all laws passed by the Parliament are published on Fletorja Zyrtare, which is the official journal of the Government of Albania. The oldest assembly with extant records was held in Lezhë on 2 March 1444. The League of Lezhë Kuvendi Lezhë forged in Lezhë under Gjergj Kastrioti Skënderbeu as the leader against the Ottoman Empire. Name and etymology. The word Kuvend, indefinite form Kuvendi, is a very old word in the Albanian language that is thought to have originated from the Latin word conventus, meaning gathering of people or assembly. Its use dates back to the 15th century when men, mainly from northern Albania, gathered to listen to the debate between Gjergj and Skënderbeu on what would be allowed and what was not. These laws would then be codified into oral laws inherited from generation to generation, especially in the northern areas of Albania, from Gjergj itself to what is called Kanuni I Gjergj or simply Kanuni. In the 19th century, with the transcription of these laws by Father Shd Jefan Gjergj, for the first time the institutional meaning of the word is given in written form, where in Chapter 148, Article 1106 of the Canon it is said, Kuvendi is a union of kin or several kins with the chief, the elder, the young or the little ones, who intend to resolve any issue, or to bind the bisar. The term in the modern history of the Albanian state was used from the very first day of its creation. On 28 November 1912, the most influential and prominent figures of Albania gathered in the so-called All-Albanian Congress held in Vlora, where Kuvendi I Vlora's the Assembly of Vlora was constituted. Kuvend was later reused to name the country's legislative institution after the Communists took power in 1946, refusing to use words borrowed from foreign languages and previously used by other regimes or governments. Today, words such as Assemblja, the Assembly, Parlamenti, the Parliament, or the word Kuvendi itself are part of the Albanian dictionary, which is published periodically by the Academy of Sciences of Albania and have been used and continue to be widely used interchangeably to indicate the same thing by serving more as a synonym for each other than as a translation. History. In 1914, with the drafting of the Organic Statute of Albania by the International Control Commission, the establishment of Assemblja Kombëtare, the National Assembly, as a legislative body was foreseen. This assembly would consist of a total of 36 members elected by the people, members appointed by the monarch Wilhelm of Albania, as well as ex officio member. The beginning of the Balkan Wars and First World War made impossible the establishment of the institution. After the end of the First World War, between 25 and 27 of December 1918, the Congress of Durs decided on the formation of a provisional government, as well as the establishment of the Pleqësia, the eldership, which was essentially a senate. This senate would meet once every 2 months, and the government would have to consult with it on major issues related to the fate of the state. However, due to internal divisions, the Senate never convened, becoming one of the reasons for the dismissal of the government of Durs in January 1920. After the dismissal of the government of Durs, among others, the Congress of Lushnia established the Senate as the first Albanian legislative body, which would later be named Këshilli Kombëtar National Council. The council would consist of 37 members elected by the congressional delegates themselves and would have a temporary mandate until elections are held. In this period, the principles of parliamentarism are affirmed for the first time, the appointment and dismissal of the government by the council, as well as the exercise of parliamentary control over it. The National Council met for the first time on 27 March 1920 in newly established capital, Tirana, while the first session was opened by Mytesem Kelesi until through vote Xhemel Napi was elected, becoming the first chairman of the National Council. Although the first Albanian legislature extended its activity in a short period of time, it managed to pass some important laws. Some of the most important acts were the Lushnia Statute, which constituted a constitutional law, as well as the new electoral law passed on 5 December. This law established the electoral system, which was by indirect election with 2 rounds. In the first round, based on the administrative division according to the districts of Albania, every 500 men would elect a delegate, who consequently in the second round will elect a total of 75 members of the National Council, thus making 1 member elected by about 12,000 eligible voters. Although with many problems, this law paved the way for the creation of the first 2 Albanian parties, which were Parsha Popular, the Popular Party led by Fan Noli, and Parsha Përëndimtare, the Progressive Party led by Haks Kadriu and Shefkat Vërlësaj. The legislative activity of the National Council ended on 20 December 1920, when the council was dissolved to give way to the first elections in Albania on 21 April 1921. During the period of the Albanian Republic, the country had a bicameral legislature, consisting of a Senate Albanian, Senati, and a Chamber of Deputies Albanian, Doma e Deputative. From 1928 to 1939, during the era of the Albanian monarchy, Albania's legislature was known simply as the Parliament Albanian, Parlamenti. During the Italian occupation of Albania and the existence of the 1939–43 Albanian Kingdom, Albania's legislature was known as the Supreme Fascist Cooperative Albanian, Korporativi I Fascist. From 1943 to 1944, during Nazi occupation of Albania and the formation of the 1943–44 Albanian Kingdom, Albania's legislature was known as the National Assembly Albanian, Kuvendi Kombëtar. From 1944 to late 1945, a National Anti-Fascist Liberation Council Albanian, Këshilli Antifascist National Clearanter was formed by politicians opposing the Nazi puppet government. Later, during multiple periods of regime changes, Albania's legislature was known as the Constituent Assembly Albanian, Assemblja Kushtetues or Kuvendi Kushtetues. This occurred in 1924, prior to the formation of the Albanian Republic, in 1928 prior to the formation of the first iteration of the Albanian Kingdom, and from 1946 to 1947 prior during the era democratic government of Albania and prior to the formation of the People's Socialist Republic of Albania. Recent. From 1947 to 1999, during the era of the People's Socialist Republic of Albania, Albania's legislature was known as the People's Assembly Albanian, Kuvendi Popular. Since 1997, the parliament has been known simply as the Parliament of the Republic of Albania Albanian, Kuvendi I Republiks CSH. Currently, the president is elected by the parliament. The current members were chosen in the 2017 Albanian parliamentary election. Powers, duties, and responsibilities, The Parliament's powers are defined by the Constitution of Albania. The Parliament represents the citizens of the Republic of Albania. It acts as the country's legislature. It convenes regularly in 2 sessions each year, the first session on the third Monday of January and the second session on the first Monday of September. However, extraordinary sessions may be called by the President of Albania, the Prime Minister of Albania, or by 1/5 of the parliamentary members. Further, the sessions are open to the public. The Parliament decides through a majority votes in the presence of more than half of its members, except for cases where the Constitution provides for a qualified majority. However, certain decisions are made by 3/5 majority votes. Other powers of the Parliament include defining economic, legal, and political relations in Albania, preservation of Albania's natural and cultural heritage and its utilization, and forming alliances with other nations. The Parliament elect the President by secret ballot and without debate by 3/5 of the parliamentary members. The President addresses messages to the Parliament and sets the date of parliamentary elections, for the organs of local power, and for the conduct of referenda. The President appoints the Prime Minister on the proposal of the Parliament. If the Prime Minister is not approved, the Parliament elects another Prime Minister within 10 days. As specified by the Constitution, no foreign military force may be situated in or pass through the borders of Albania except by a law approved by the Parliament. Due to that, it has the right to deploy Albanian armed forces outside its borders. Election. The 140 members of the Parliament serve 4-year terms, with elections held every 4 years or earlier, in the relatively rare case that the Parliament is dissolved prematurely by the President. 100 members are elected directly. Elections for the Parliament are held 60 to 30 days before the end of the mandate and not later than 45 days after its dissolution. The seats of the Parliament are elected in a 12 constituency by closed-list proportional representation. Seats are allocated using the D'Hondt method with a 2.5% electoral threshold. The Parliament can be dissolved by the President on the recommendation of the Prime Minister if the latter has lost a vote of confidence in the Parliament, if the recommendation is made and accepted before the Parliament acts to elect a new Prime Minister. Composition of the Parliament. The Constitution of Albania mandates that the Parliament consists of not less than 140 members, elected by a direct elected secret ballot for 4-year terms. The electoral system is closed-list proportional representation. There are 12 multi-member constituencies corresponding to the 12 administrative regions of the country. Parliamentary elections are held within 60 days to 30 days before the end of the mandate and not later than 45 days after dissolution. As specified by the current electoral legislation in Albania, 140 members of the Parliament are elected in multi-seat constituencies. Within any constituency, parties must meet a threshold of 3% of votes, and pre-election coalitions must meet a threshold of 5% of votes. 31st Legislature. The 2 largest political parties in Albania are the Socialist Party PS and the Democratic Party PD. The last elections were held on 25 April 2021. Following is a list of political parties and alliances with representation in the Parliament by the 25 April 2021 elections. Political parties divided according to post-electoral seats in the ex-legislature. Historical composition. Since 1991, committees of the Parliament. Parliamentary committees investigate specific matters of policy or government administration or performance that cannot be directly handled by the Parliament due to their volume. The committees provide an opportunity for organizations and individuals to participate in policy making and to have their views placed on the public record and considered as part of the decision-making process. The Parliament has the following committees: Committee on Legal Affairs, Public Administration and Human Rights, Committee on European Integration, Committee on Foreign Policy, Committee on Economy and Finance, Committee on National Security, Committee on Production Activities, Trade and Environment, Committee on Labor, Social Affairs and Health, Committee on Education and Public Information Media. Legislatures 1920 present. Opening session presiding MP.